Karen's SUV roared through my ranch again, tires chewing up my livelihood like she owned the place. I stood there, watching my grass die, wondering if her entitlement had an off switch. For 3 months, she'd been cutting through my property, ignoring my signs, my calls, my pleas. She'd laugh, flip me off, and speed away, leaving ruts deep enough to break a horse's leg. My name's Tom, and this was my family's land, 120 acres of pasture that fed my cattle, my kids, my soul. Karen, the new neighbor with a McMansion up the hill, didn't care. To her, my ranch was just a shortcut to her yoga class. Last week, I caught her on my security cam, swerving through at midnight, headlights blazing like she was starring in her own action flick. The next morning, I found my fence splintered, 2 calves limping, and my best grazing field torn to hell. I knocked on her door, shaking with rage, but she smirked through her Ring camera. "Prove it was me," she said, voice dripping with smugness. That night, I sat on my porch, staring at the churned-up earth, my bank account bleeding from vet bills and repairs. Something snapped. This wasn't just about grass, it was about respect, about my life being trampled by someone who thought rules didn't apply to her. I didn't sleep. At 2 a.m., I was in the shed, pulling out spike strips I'd bought years ago for trespassers. They were nasty, jagged metal teeth designed to shred tires. I buried them in the grass along her usual path, covering them with dirt and sod. My hands shook as I worked, half expecting her headlights to catch me. By dawn, the traps were invisible, and I waited, heart pounding, for her next joyride. She didn't disappoint. Around noon, her SUV screamed down the hill, music blaring. The pop was deafening, 4 tires blown in seconds. Her car skidded, fishtailing before it stopped, smoke curling from the rubber. Karen stumbled out, screaming curses that'd make a sailor blush. I walked over, shovel in hand, not to threaten, but to dig up the strips before anyone else got hurt. "What the hell, Tom?" she shrieked, pointing at her ruined tires. "You're gonna pay for this." I laughed, bitter and raw. "Pay? You've been wrecking my land for months. You hurt my animals, my family's future." Her face twisted, but not with guilt, with defiance. She pulled out her phone, filming me, yelling about lawsuits and assault. Neighbors started gathering, drawn by the noise. Some nodded at me, knowing Karen's stunts. Others whispered, phones out, turning my ranch into a viral circus. Then she escalated. Karen grabbed a rock and hurled it at my truck, shattering the windshield. The crowd gasped. She kept screaming, accusing me of sabotage, of being a psycho redneck. I dropped the shovel, stepping closer, voice low. "You drove over my life, Karen. You don't get to play victim now." For a second, I saw fear in her eyes, but she doubled down, shoving me, daring me to hit back. I didn't. Instead, I turned to the crowd, pointing at the ruts, the broken fence, the limping calves in the distance. "This is what she did. Y'all see it." Murmurs grew louder. A few neighbors stepped forward, phones now aimed at her, not me. The tide turned. Old man Jenkins, who'd known my dad, shouted, "Karen, you've been tearing through here like a tornado. We're done with you." Others chimed in, recounting her speeding, her arrogance. Karen's bravado cracked. She backed toward her car, still clutching her phone, but her voice faltered. The sheriff arrived, called by someone in the crowd. I showed him the cam footage, the vet bills, the spike strips I'd already dug up. Karen ranted, but her story unraveled when neighbors corroborated mine. The sheriff didn't arrest me self-defensive property. He called it, but he warned us both to cool off. Karen's SUV was towed, and she slunk back to her McMansion, humiliated. I thought I'd won. But that night, I sat on my porch, staring at the same ruined fields, and felt no joy. The viral videos painted me as a hero, but my ranch was still bleeding. Insurance wouldn't cover Karen's damage, too hard to prove in court. My kids asked why the cows weren't grazing, and I had no good answer. The spike strips stopped her, sure, but they didn't fix what she'd broken. Karen moved away a month later, her house sold at a loss. I heard she's still posting online, calling me a monster. Maybe I am. I protected my land, but the cost was heavier than I'd imagined. Me peace, my faith in people, my hope for this place. The grass might grow back, but some scars don't heal.